Okay, so here's the thing, right? We've all had those conversations about a manga that just didn't hit for us. Like, we're just like, it's not good. I don't like it. But what about like the worst rated manga? Because usually those mangas probably on average are just like okay. So I went to Mal, my anime list, if you haven't heard of it, and I'm gonna read the worst rated manga on there. So this can only go good. There's no way that this can go bad.
The note literally says, "This is dumpster fire. Block this." I could not show this on YouTube.
This was absolutely a mistake.
So here's one thing I didn't think about when I started out doing this video. Mal doesn't have like go to the worst ratings. You just have to go page by page by page at 50 manga a page. Here's the thing. There's a lot of manga out there. If you didn't know, there's a ton. So I just kept clicking. I just kept clicking and clicking and clicking. But then I noticed up at the top at the URL, there was an equal sign with the number that correspond with the numbers that were on that page. And I thought to myself, an idea occurred.
That equal sign, I could type in numbers. And I tried a bunch of different numbers. Some went a little, too far. But then I landed on the actual last rated manga on Mal. And that number is 15,150. And that manga is Here's the thing, I've never seen those movies. I've never seen High School Musical. Alright. Okay. How bad can a manga based on High School Musical be? It turns out pretty bad. Actually, it's not even that bad, right? It's just kind of nothing. It's 9 pages. And it is legitimately a basketball game victory for the Wildcats, And then Gabriella, I believe her name is. Listen, I might be a little bit out of the loop on the High School Musical, but I hung out with some people that had the High School Musical CD, so I've heard a song, Gabriella and Troy. But they did write his name as Troy. That might be a translation error. So, I don't know, but she going to Stanford. He's going to a different college. Oh, yeah, oh. Do you think there was more to that? No. Nope. That's how it ends. I got nothing. Cool that they made a manga based off a Disney Channel show. I think that is kind of neat, especially for the time frame. Like it came out right here. So, it was kind of like, giving manga a little bit of, I got nothing. What's funny, kind of, is they show this cast list in the front. You don't see some of those people in the whole thing. It was a High School Musical manga. I got nothing. Let's get on to the next one. So the next one is Dead Word Puzzle, and here's the main character. Who does he look like? I'll give you a second. Here, I'll slowly fade up. Come on, right? So for this video, Light Yagami 2.0 is in a classroom when a small toy pops up. I guess he's a toy, more like a creature, pops up on the desk and says, "Hey, let's play a game." Very similar vibes to him right here. So this manga is a death game manga. I'm sure you know what that means. And while it does kind of, I even think, even with Light Yagami 2.0, also, let's do this. Okay, I'm gonna put some characters up. Character A, character B. One more time. Character A, character B. Those are 2 different characters. Wait. Character A, character B. It kind of feels like I'm doing an eye exam right now. Option A, option B. Two different characters. So needless to say, the art style is, lacking a little bit. They have all the characters look very similar. But the premise of this story is crosswords. They're playing a crossword game. One across, two down. Crosswords. And I think, if I'm going to be honest with you, the idea is sound. Like, I actually think it's not a bad idea. The problem with translation, and I think it really shows in this manga, is they're doing a lot of phonetics, and I think translating that into a different language kind of hurt this one, because there's a lot of panels that, honestly, if you're not versed in that language, I think a lot of that stuff can be hindered in the translation to English. It made it very confusing for me, because I'm not super well versed in that stuff. But honestly, I think its biggest problem, and the reason that I truthfully really did not like this series, it seemed like the type of series that the creator made just to be incredibly gory. And I get it, especially when you're reading like a death game manga. You could be a little gory, but it just seemed like, and especially with the pacing, because it's only 4 chapters and it's just like boom, 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 boom. I can't even show the panels. Here, I'll block it. You can't see this panel, but just imagine, someone's head exploding. You know what I mean? That's not really my cup of tea in general, so I don't think I was going to like this manga regardless, but I just think that the pacing was incredibly quick. And again, the translation, it's not the creator's fault, it's just, I don't think it translated well into English. But honestly, it just felt like a carbon copy Light Yagami in a death game jigsaw story with over the top. When I say over the top, you know what? I was just going to let it go, but I can't let it go. Over the top gore. All this is blurred. I'm not going to show any of this, but come on. Like, people guts are just explode. It's a lot. It's just too much. No thanks. Also, what I really like about this, the 4th chapter ends, and the little creature or toy or puppet, whatever, pops up, and it's like, death game begins, game start. Come to find out, the game didn't start. That was it. That was final chapter. So, on to the next one. All right, here's the thing. I just have to, let's pause, time out, stop. Even the translators put up this warning, okay, for this manga. Here you go ahead and read it. I'm going to talk about it, but this has to be the number one manga that took a left turn pivot randomly, for no reason, out of nowhere. It's alright. Let's talk about gal cleaning. Unfortunately. So gal cleaning starts off very much like a rom-com with a little ecchi, right? A My Dress Up Darling or something like that. And it's really about this kind of very straight-laced kid that has a classmate who is a girl that is kind of free-spirited, right? Kind of very loose and kind of aloof about everything. And for a very odd reason, and here's the reason, he has to basically live with this girl who also has a very big house, lives by herself. Parents just out of the country, I guess, just traveling. And he has to live with her because his father got into debt, left him a note at the apartment, and said, hey, you're going to be staying with a friend of mine, his friend ended up being her father. But the father and mother are also working out of the country. So really they're just living together in this house. His father left him a note, said, I'm in debt, I'm leaving town. Don't go back to the apartment. Basically is what he said. Listen, I'm leaving town. Just you stay over there. It'll work out. The payoff of that bit is randomly in like chapter 6 or 7, he text messages them again saying, I finally got out of debt. We're doing it. Hey man, we're in there now. We're going back to the apartment. And they're kind of sad because they've been building up this relationship. But then almost immediately later or the next day, he texts and says, I was just hoping that I was out of debt. I'm not out of debt quite yet. So you have to stay where you're at. What I'm saying is the parents in this manga, no, just, it's not great. They're not, I wouldn't, they're not role models, is what I'm saying. So yeah, they're living together. She's messy, he's a clean freak. Which, I will say this, I had some cleaning tips. Did you know? You can put, if you set in gum, you can put ice and it'll harden the gum, come right off. Did you also know, what's the other one? You have to put saran wrap to get rid of black mold. If you didn't know, you gotta like kind of clean, and then you put some black mold solution, and then there's like saran wrap. Here, they gave notes. So, cleaning tips are nice. But overall, I mean, there are definitely some ecchi shots and things of that nature. But I think it does, like the two main characters don't have they didn't click with me like a My Dress Up Darling or something like that. But overall, it wasn't that bad. But this was the worst manga I have read yet. I know it's very two conflicting points, but let me just get to chapter 8. But yeah, the first 7 chapters, you're kind of like, whatever, man. Romantic comedy, it's doing its thing. It's fine. But then let me show the note one more time before we start doing this. There's the note. Okay, here we go. I don't recommend. Look down in the timestamps down below. Skip this part. To be honest, I'm letting you know. Skip it. Okay, here we go. Chapter 8. One very funny thing, and this is the only thing that I will say is funny about chapter 8. There are so many 8-point this. I have never seen this where it's like 8.1, 8.2. I think it went up to like 8.11. I will put that on the screen. He just never wanted to get out of chapter 8. Chapter 8, let me tell you what it's about. She forgets to wash her here we go. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Okay, here we go. She forgets to wash her like underwear, right? And she puts his underwear on, but whoops, takes them off, and he's got to try to block her throughout school because she still thinks she has the underwear on, and she's kind of goofing on, like, oh, what if somebody sees under her skirt? I feel sick talking about this, but this isn't even the worst part. This is child's play to what's coming, and I'm doing a build up because anyway. So a lot of the chapter, him trying to block and they're trying to do funny, but it's really like getting past the ecchi territory into like this is something different that we all probably have heard of. This is where this is going. I'm not even going to show block this. I could not show this on YouTube. And so then they get trapped in a closet, and it's a very tight space, and his knee, you can't see my knee. You can't see my knee. Just pretend there's a tight space. The knee is in the skirt. This was not a good idea. Just overall, I'm regretting this. All right. Tight space closet. Knee in a spot that she is sensitive in. Okay. I'm also watching it's the YouTube thing about it too. Sensitive in. Then he introduces a random side character we've never seen before, and she has her whole introduction. Again, It only has 10 chapters. But the 8th chapter is about 15 chapters. So what does it really matter? Time is relative at this point where we're going. Introduces random side character. The class president. Class vice president, maybe. Doesn't really matter. They're like, oh, what are you doing? You know, blah, blah, blah. Main guy, class vice president, he accidentally trips and kisses her in a weird way. Gives her memories. Flashes her back. One last warning before we go down this flashback. Flashes her back. And then we proceed to go into, and I'm not going to say the word here on YouTube, but it is a very graphic, unwanted thing that happens to her at the school. This was a romantic comedy manga for 7 chapters. Chapter 8 point whatever, we went way left. Incredibly left. We are off the road. We're not even on the road. We're out there in the mountains. Look at these mountains. This is where we're at. We're in the mountains. What is this? So anyway, that's multiple chapters that transpires. And our main character was the one that saved her by putting her in a trash can because he didn't want people to see her like she was, which fair, but like odd that he picked a trash can. So she's like absolutely in love with him because, you know, he saved her from that horrible situation. This is a romantic comedy manga. Let me just... This is what we were reading for 7 chapters. You know what I mean? He was giving us tips about how to clean mold and ice on gum. And we went here. You can't see these panels. They're blurred. We were getting tips, cleaning tips. Mr. Clean tips. We went here. Okay. And then, here's the thing. That whole thing transpires. And then chapters 9 and 10, they are about 6 pages long. He was saying something to that class president, and she overheard it, but she kind of misheard what he was saying. And then she's like trying to hide from him in the house and be like, get out of here, blah, blah, blah. And she's in the closet, but then they have this moment and just, clean forever. The end. The end. What? What are we doing? What's happening? Like, it was kind of funny bad, right? It was kind of like, dude, his dad left him a note and said, I'm in debt. Like, I owe people money. I left town, stay with, you know, this girl's parents. You know what I mean? Oh, you gotta do all this cleaning, and I got a filthy room. Oh, that's my underwear. Ha 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 ha. To some of the worst stuff humanly imaginable in a chapter? What are we doing? Once again, let me put up this note. I think the note literally says this is dumpster fire, and I could not agree more. I don't recommend this manga. I don't, even for like a laugh, even for like a haha chuckle. Nah, I'm good, dude. No thanks. No thanks. You know what? This is enough for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. I just wanted some cleaning tips, you know? I guess that's the best thing that I can say. If I sit in gum, I know how to remove it with ice. And oil, you can put flour on there, you can knead it, and it'll help get the oil up instead of paper towels. That's what I was there for. not this other stuff. So, gal cleaning. No thanks. No thanks. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 2. I'm taking a shower. No.
Okay, so I just got done reading Battle Royale 2 Blitz Royale, and full disclosure, never read Battle Royale. I want to read it. I've checked out the movie that's based on the manga, and I really enjoyed it, but I just have never collected it. I really want to read it. So going into the sequel without reading the original, maybe I miss some context, but the story is we're kind of introduced to this young girl, and the Marines this time are putting together a program. Just like in Battle Royale, which I do know about this, like the army put together this thing and then they're forced to battle each other and kill each other and things of that nature. But this series, which is 19 chapters long, I think it tried to tackle kind of the horrors of war. And I'm sure you've watched like a movie or read a book or another manga that's kind of talking about kind of the toll that it takes to go to war and do those things that is done in war. This is going to be really weird to talk about it on YouTube without getting demonetized, but we're going to try our best. But you get what I'm saying when I say that. Coming off of gal cleaning, anything was going to be better. Anything was going to be better than that. So it's higher than that. But honestly, and maybe it's just because it's 19 chapters, I couldn't connect with any of the characters. So when things happen to those characters, while I kind of respect it trying to tackle such a tough topic to tackle, but what was missing for me was the characters at the center of that story. And obviously, I'm not going to really spoil it. It's 19 chapters. You can check it out if you'd like. It's one of the worst rated manga on Mal. This is why it made this list. So I know everyone that's made it this far into the video chomping at the bit to check out all these manga. But it just seemed like one of those stories. I think that's tough when it comes to manga, right? It just feels like there is a checkbox that this author is doing, and they're checking every box. And I know I've made videos about like, where's the average in manga? I don't even consider this average. It just seems like we're going to make a story like this. I'm checking this box, and this box. And I think while I don't have that nostalgia, I think maybe why it suffers from like being poorly reviewed, it's got the Battle Royale name to it. And even someone that has never seen that series, that name carries weight. So I think that probably didn't help it, you know? And also it just kind of ends. It is a complete story, but it just felt like I'm reading, and it's over. All right, moving on. Wow. Absolutely read this instead of gal cleaning. Read any of the, you know what? We're going to do a few more before this video is over. Maybe like 2 more before this video. I'm going to go ahead and just blanket statement. Read any of them besides gal cleaning. But yeah, it was less about students taking each other out and more just about these kids thrust into this very horrible situation and the military trying to tell them, take these people out, like changing them and making it not okay, making them into, you know, just machines of war. While I think it can absolutely be a interesting topic explored in any medium, especially manga, this one just was missing a little bit of that magic to make it, I think, something really good.
Okay, so we've hit the spot. This is the spot. The spot of the last 3 manga that I have been reading on this list. Their names are important. I'll just put them right there. Well, let me just... I can't talk about them on YouTube. and I only read one chapter. And red is, I knew what they were. They do not try to hide it, and listen, they're just not for me. That is what I will say. If you enjoy that kind of manga, hey, yeah, keep doing you. They're not for me. And so, since I can't talk about them on YouTube, well, we're just gonna move on. But just know, if you've been watching this video, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna read some of the worst manga because for some reason you want to do that to yourself. I don't even know why I'm doing it to myself, but just skip these three right here. Just push them aside. Just get rid of them. Look right. Get rid of them. Don't read them. Yeah. So anyway, this day is off to a fantastic start. All right. Hopefully, I kind of peeked at the next one. Hopefully, that's one I can talk about. I just didn't think that it. I kind of figured that I would run into this kind of stuff, but back to back to back was. This was absolutely a mistake. But we're doing it for science. We're reading the worst manga ever, and sometimes it goes bad. It's one of those times. I don't even know, man. All right. Okay. Hopefully the next one's nothing like the last three.
Okay, this is my final one. I am done with this gauntlet of reading the worst rated manga on Mal. Well, unless you guys have liked this video, then we'll continue. But I just need to break, because the funny thing is, I kind of like some stuff in this manga. I think I've read so many bad manga that I can't even tell anymore. Like that's where we're at here. I can't even tell what's good and what's bad because this had some really interesting ideas. So this manga is called In the Room, and the premise of this is a group of people get transported into this room, or multiple rooms really, and it's based on this video game, or so we're led to think, right? And one of the first things out of the gate in the first chapter is our main protagonist. I'm going to put air quotes. This is our main protagonist. So in the first chapter, we're introduced to this character, and he's a gamer. And very like Sword Art Online, he plays this game that is very similar to this room that he gets transported into. And it's kind of really cool because someone is getting attacked, and he's thinking, well, if I'm the main protagonist of this story, this is when, and we've seen it a ton of times, where the character that we're following saves someone that's in danger and gets like their unlocked ability. It did not happen for this guy. It didn't. Did it turn on him, and he knew it turned on him. He's like, oh, so I'm not the main protagonist. And he gets taken out by this monstrous beast. And the design of this monster is actually really kind of unique. It's kind of got this gothic horror vibe to it, right? So that was one of the first chapters, and where they took out the person that we thought was going to be the main protagonist. And this manga only having 9 chapters, and it does feel like a complete story. It does do the thing where the final panel right here, you're like, oh, some young girl gets woken up in this room, and you see the monster come out of the door, and you're like, uh-oh, it's happening again. It didn't happen again. There's no more. So it's only 9 chapters. But in those 9 chapters, it tells a very complete story. So we are introduced to a bunch of these characters and the 2 brothers. One's a lawyer, and one, we find out, has been convicted of, how do I say this on YouTube? Their wife not being on this earth anymore. for YouTube's sake. But yeah, and as the story unfolds, it's kind of like a mystery whodunit. And as they are traversing these rooms and trying to avoid the main monster that we were introduced that took out our main protagonist, you start to really realize what's going to happen. And what we find out, and I'm really sorry, I mean, I've been spoiling all of these manga, and I haven't felt bad about it, but this one, again, I do feel kind of bad about it. So, you know, it's 9 chapters, you should check it out. Actually, well, hold on, wait. Let me warn you first. There are definitely 2 or 3 scenes very gal cleaning, all right? Never forget. So just be warned. They are very quick scenes, but they are there. They do exist. So that is your warning. But the story is kind of interesting. So what we find out is this room is a construct of one of these people's minds, because they are engulfed in darkness. And you start to kind of try to figure out whose mind are we in. And throughout the about 3 to 4 chapters in, you find out whose mind we're in, which is the person that was convicted of, for YouTube's sake, their wife no longer being on this earth. But through that, we figure out that the people that were transported into this room all were connected to his wife's case. And the rule of this room is, the only way to escape it is either the person who conjured this is no longer here, or you defeat the big monster. And see, that's the thing. That story idea and that whole thing is really interesting. I actually think that the 9 chapters, it being so short, really helped sell the idea. Because, and I'm sure we've all read stories and stuff where the idea is super solid, but not for 15 volumes. You know, not for 100 chapters. And it gets stretched out. So with this, it kind of felt like, okay, this is a cohesive story. And, you know, either it's kind of your thing or kind of not your thing, but the short amount of chapters didn't hurt it this time. And it's one of the only manga on this thing that we've read so far in this video that I feel like 9 chapters is good. And so the main big twist is that all of these people, surprise, surprise, they're not the best people in the world. Now, some were wrong place, wrong time, but a handful are truthfully not great people, including his brother who's the lawyer. And through a set of circumstances, we find out that his brother that's a lawyer maybe has taken protecting your brother no matter what to the extreme. And we find out that he's the one that, for YouTube's sake, made his brother's wife no longer on this planet. And the baby that she was pregnant with. I did just say, most of these people, not great people. And so that idea of you're thinking that it's this brother who's a lawyer that was assigned to the case and did all these things and was trying to get his brother off of this crime that he didn't commit. And for all of these things to transpire, his brother was the one that did it the whole time. His brother was the reason that this room was created, that his brother's wife is no longer here. And I actually thought it was a super concise story, and I actually, there was a few, again, the gal cleaning scenes I'm not into, but overall, and this is why I think my mind has been affected by this journey we've taken in this video, it wasn't bad. And that's kind of why I just kind of want to stop here. Like this one, I think it was rated like 4 out of 10 stars or something. Feels valid. Like it's not the greatest thing, but it had some really interesting ideas. And that is why, through all of these manga that we have read in this video, I think I'm calling it. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm out. But no, seriously, thank you so much for checking out this video. I know it was a little different. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And while I was joking, I am really grateful that I kind of went through and started reading some of the worst manga rated on Mal. You know what I mean? Because I think it's very easy to be like, this is horrible, this is terrible. It's like, well, hey, what if we go to the bottom of the barrel? What if we get to the garbage? And then you start appreciating stuff. You're like, you know what though? Demon Slayer, not that bad. You know what I mean? Oh, hold on a minute. This other series that I thought, maybe not for me. Not terrible though. It's no gal cleaning. It's no gal cleaning is what I'm saying. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. And as always, I appreciate you guys wholeheartedly, especially the ones that made it to the end of this video. It means the world to me. And I hope that if you're having a bad day, it gets better. If you're having a good day, it becomes fantastic. I'll see you next time.